Today we are tackling a skill that can literally change every single conversation you have, for the better. We're talking about a serious upgrade to your listening skills. So let's dive in. So I'm going to start with a question for you, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. Are you a good listener? I mean, a really good listener. It's easy to say yes, right? But the truth is, it's a lot harder than we think. And here's the proof. Check out this stat. On average, we forget about 2/3 of everything we hear. 2/3! That means all those key details from meetings, important points from a lecture, even those heart-to-heart moments, poof, they just disappear. But you know what? That gap between what we hear and what we actually hold on to, that's our golden opportunity. So this is the most important distinction we need to make today. Hearing, well, that's just passive. It's automatic. Your ears are just doing their biological thing. But listening? Listening is an active sport. It's a choice. It's a complex process that takes real, focused effort. And here's the fantastic news. Active listening isn't some magical talent you're born with. Nope. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. It's a process, and it actually has 6 clear steps that take us from just hearing a bunch of noise to truly understanding what someone means. So here it is, our roadmap to becoming a better listener. We start with mindfulness. Then we physically get the sound, our brain selects and organizes it, we figure out what it means, we respond, and finally, the big one, we remember. Let's break each of these down. All right, step 1 is the bedrock for everything else, mindfulness. And don't worry, this isn't some fuzzy concept. It's super practical. It's making a conscious decision to be right here, right now. It means putting the phone down, pushing that mental to-do list aside, and giving your full, undivided attention to the person talking. Okay, next up is the part that happens automatically, the physical act of receiving the message. This is that hearing we talked about. Sound waves hitting your eardrums. Pretty straightforward. But of course, this can get totally derailed by a noisy coffee shop or even just feeling worn out and tired. Now, this is where your brain becomes a bouncer at a club. It can't possibly let every single sound in. So it starts selecting what it thinks is important. Then it organizes that information into mental folders based on what you already know. You're constantly and unconsciously deciding what's worth paying attention to and what's just background noise. This is where the magic happens. This is the moment you assign meaning to everything you've just organized. You're asking, what are they really trying to say? What's the emotion behind these words? This is a deeply personal step, and it's where our own experiences and biases can really shape what we think we've heard. Now remember, listening is not a spectator sport. Your response is a huge part of the conversation. And I'm not talking about interrupting to tell your own story. I'm talking about showing you're locked in. Simple things, a head nod, making eye contact, a little or go on. These send a powerful signal to the speaker that says, I'm with you. What you're saying matters. And here we are, at the final step, the whole point of the exercise, remembering. Remember that wild statistic from the beginning that we forget 2/3 of what we hear? Well, the entire purpose of this active process is to consciously grab on to that crucial 1/3, the core ideas, the important stuff. That's the win. Okay, so we've got this 6-step plan. It sounds pretty straightforward, right? So why is it so darn hard in practice? Well, it's because there are saboteurs lurking everywhere. Let's shine a light on these common listening traps. First up, we've got the enemies on the outside. You know these ones well. Message overload. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose of information all day long. Then there's message complexity. Sometimes a topic is just genuinely tough to wrap your head around. And of course, the classic environmental distractions. The loud coworker, the buzzing phone, you name it. But if we're being honest, the most dangerous traps are the ones we set for ourselves, the internal ones. Being preoccupied, thinking about what you need from the grocery store instead of what's being said. Making snap judgments about the speaker or the topic, or, just not putting in the effort. And a big one, being so stuck in our own way that we can't adjust to someone else's style of communicating. I mean, this picture says it all, doesn't it? This is our modern challenge in a nutshell. We might be physically in the room, but mentally we're a million miles away. The laptops are open, the phones are buzzing. It shows that our attention is constantly being pulled in a dozen different directions, even when we have the best intentions. And all these obstacles lead to some pretty specific bad habits. Let's do a quick round, see if you recognize any of these. First, pseudo-listening. That's when you're nodding and smiling, but your mind is actually planning your weekend. Then there's monopolizing, constantly jumping in to bring the conversation back to yourself. And a classic, selective listening, where you only hear the bits and pieces that you want to hear. And it gets even sneakier. Defensive listening, where you take any comment, no matter how innocent, as a personal attack. Ambushing, that's when you're not listening to understand, you're just listening to collect ammo for your comeback. And finally, literal listening, hearing the words perfectly but completely missing the emotion and the feeling behind them. Okay, enough with the problems. We've seen the ideal process, and we've identified all the ways it can go wrong. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the payoff. Here is your action plan for becoming a truly active listener. A huge part of this plan is knowing why you're listening. Your goal changes everything. Sometimes you're just listening for information, but other times, as this image really drives home, your goal is all about the relationship. It's not about facts and figures, it's about connection, empathy, and supporting another human being. So let's say you're in a meeting or a class, and your goal is to absorb information. Here's your toolkit. First, be mindful. That's always step one. 2, control those obstacles. Put the phone on silent, close the extra tabs on your laptop. 3, ask questions to make sure you're getting it right. 4, use aids to recall. Yep, take notes. And 5, as you listen, try to build a mental outline of what's being said. But when the goal is connection, listening to a friend or a partner, your toolkit looks a bit different. You still need mindfulness, but now you have to actively suspend judgment. Your only job is to understand where they're coming from. And a killer technique here is to paraphrase. Just say back what you heard in your own words. It shows you're really trying to get it. And above all else, just express support. And that's really it. That's the active listening upgrade. It's a clear process. It has its traps for sure, but now you have a real concrete action plan. So the only question left is, what conversation are you going to change today just by deciding to truly listen?